sang through the darkness, we sang through the pain, we sang through the heartache, so singing kept us sane. Songs of all culture, they helped us come together. National language of love, so music is forever. As we march on, the victory is won. We still have a way to go, but yes, we still begun. Let's make a joyful noise, and let's all sing. We came a long way, so let freedom ring. The whole world sing in perfect harmony.
The more you learn about our people, the more you admire what they went through and had to do to exist and thrive in this land. What makes this so interesting is that it's an oral history, which is being developed into a permanent product through a website and community signage. It's building a treasure trove, one interview at a time. Good morning, I'm Mayor James, and this is Black Almanac. It gives you a greater appreciation, a greater visceral enjoyment of our people, the activities that we've been involved in, the burdens we've overcome. We're an incredibly resilient people. Today's guests, Newtown Conservation Historic District Consultant, Vicki Oldham, former City Commissioner and Sarasota Mayor Fred Atkins, and Mrs. Mary Mack, Newtown CRA Advisory Board member.
In 1926, a distinguished black historian organized the first week-long celebration of African American history. By the late 1960s, thanks in part to the Civil Rights Movement, the event became Black History Month. In 1976, President Gerald Ford officially recognized Black History Month and urged the public to remember the contributions of Black Americans throughout history. Sarasota's own history is abundant with the achievements of our African American citizens, and I invite you to come learn more about our rich history right here at City Hall throughout the month of February.
Well, seeing we have some of the community's favorite people here today. What is this all about? Why are we here?
Well, we are here to celebrate Newtown and Overtown's history and to tell stories about what your family did and Fred and Mary Mack's family did to accomplish, well, to get us to where we are today.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I know during your administration, this was started and you struggled with it, trying to get the city to do the right thing. Mayor Shaw came along, and there were others in between, but Mayor Shaw came along and continued that battle. And then you all finally reached around and reached out and got a young Sarasotan who'd been around her family for a long, long time, the baby of the group. And Mrs. Mack, you've been working for a long time for this community.
Love it.
Tell us what your original vision was, Mr. Mayor.
Well, you can remember those Saturday morning meetings, the first Saturday in each month, when we called the District 1 together to sort of plot out a plan for how we will address the City Commission for the next few weeks. We were going incrementally that short at the time. And this was one of the ideas that came out, and it had one of those umbrella effects about a museum. There was also a museum in this concept. But what had happened, I had visited Roxbury in Boston one summer where my sister lived in Malden, and I had seen their historical trail. I'd worked with this state of Florida historical trail, had written some articles in their magazines, and so this is basically the fruits of those labors from the late 80s up until now.
Mrs. Mack, you have been involved in currently involved in CRA and many other projects that I believe are all interrelated to all of this.
Pretty much.
And Mrs. Oldham talked about your family. She just mentioned when in this opening. Tell us a little bit about your family.
Well, Ed, my papa, John Mays, my great-granddad, we lived across the street there. I came into this world just a little after World War II, and they were glad to see me. There were perks to having a baby after that. I don't know what the rationing was then, but I was the second born great-grand of John Mays, and he was the founder, one of the founders and builders of Bethlehem Baptist Church. So we lived...
When Bethlehem was Overtown.
Overtown, yes.
Not too far from this TV station.
Exactly.
Was that across the street?
Right, it was across the street. That's where we lived, across the street. So, but I was raised pretty much, I call myself an Overtown kid. So we lived over here until I was about 8 or 9 years old, and then we moved to the projects, which is still there on Orange Avenue. My dad bought a home about 55 years ago in Newtown, and that's when we moved there.
And that's when where you raised your family?
Yes, yes.
Still live there?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Which used to be right around the corner from where I lived.
Absolutely. It was the community. It is the community, yes.
Vicki, tell us, if you would, about this project. When you started,
Okay.
what was your idea? Now, it didn't fall in your lap, the city being the city, put out a request
for proposal. Well, actually, it was called a request for quote. It was called the Newtown Conservation Historic District project, and I was home this particular time in 2015, and I was fanning out into the community, and one person asked me, "Are you back here now?" I wasn't sure, and that person said, "If you are, then the city has a proposal that you need to submit." So I just kind of went on about my business. Another person said, same thing. A third person said, "Are you back here now? The city has something on their website you need to look at." Finally, I said, "Let me look at what's on this website." And I did, and I'm like, holy moly, I love the project. Let me submit a proposal. I submitted a proposal to document Newtown 100 years of history from 1914 to 2014, and my proposal was accepted. And they had some clear deliverables. They wanted a research report, they wanted oral history done, and they wanted an inventory of historic structures in our community. And they wanted me to meet with the community and a task force that the city appointed. And Fred Atkins was on that task force with some of our other leaders.
As well he should have been.
Yeah.
Since he was one of the originators of this idea.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we explain to those who are watching that it didn't just happen.
Right.
You have some dates coming up that are very, very important too.
Yeah.
Let's talk about those dates.
Okay. So we completed work on phase 1 of the project, and then the city awarded me with phase 2, which is the creation of historic markers and a website and a mobile app and brochures. Well, coming up on February the 18th, we're going to unveil the historic markers, 15 that will be placed throughout Newtown that bear this glorious history. And we want the community to come and get up close with those markers before they're installed.
Okay, let's talk about that. Where is that going to be?
That's going to be at Robert L. Taylor Community Complex on John Rivers, is it Street or Way?
Street.
John Rivers Street. I love saying that.
Oh, yeah.
I love saying that.
Should be. For a while, we had to get the city used to saying it, even after they had named it that. They kept using the old numbered street and said, oh,
34.
either it is or it ain't. That reminds me of an old song back from the old days. Is you is, or is you ain't my baby.
Make it clear.
Make it clear. So now, are we really going to honor Mr. Rivers, or are we not? If so, then let all the city documents and that go out say John Rivers Street.
Yes, yes, yes. And that event is 10:30. Starts
Okay.
10:30.
It is so vitally important that we get a community activity, an event. We want to create the energy for persons to come and see and admire and basically take a close-up look at these markers.
Well, let's talk about the markers, and Vic, if you would, let's talk about them by name as opposed to by number,
Okay.
and let them know how,
What's on?
what's on the different markers.
Okay. Well, we have early settlement in Overtown and Newtown. We have education.
Stop. Early settlement in Overtown and Newtown. Now, Mrs. Mays, yes, I know I said Mays, no wife, I didn't forget. Sometimes she says, sometimes I think you're forgetting. No, because she was a Mays before she was a Mac. Yeah.
Simmons before I was a Mac. My mother was a maid.
Right.
All right.
Now, and that grandfather that you talked about is celebrated on some of these markers.
Yes.
And that family.
Yes, yes. And we do want the community to come and meet families, the pioneering families like Mrs. Max and yours. On one of those markers is medical history. And it's such a powerful story about how the work of your grandmother, Miss Mary Emma Jones, of the Colored Women's Civic Association, the work that they did in, oh Lord, where do I start?
Well, you know, to be perfectly accurately, they were the Colored Women's Club.
Okay.
But they were a civic association, a civil rights organization, and all of those things roll up into one.
All that.
Health, everything.
All that. And I, you know, in gathering this information, I came across a note to Mrs. Mary Emma Jones thanking her for the send-off that she gave Henrietta Gales Cunningham, the public health nurse, when she was going off to college. They had a going-away party for her farewell and raised some money so that she could get to college to get her advanced degree.
That was kind of common in the old days, that the community sent the children off to college and kind of took care of them while they were there. And for all those people who did not necessarily go to a historically black college, or those who went, but they'll only tell you, I got my master's from this college and my doctor's from that college. But where did you get your start, baby?
Where they let you in.
In HBCU, where they let you in.
Right.
Mrs. Mack has a story that's not unlike any of the other, many other stories, too.
Yes.
When Miss Mack, is that okay if she tells us
Go ahead.
where she originally wanted to go to the school that was closest to her home, meaning the college?
Yes,
And whatever.
yes. I wanted to go to Ringling. I loved to paint. I loved to paint. That's where I wanted to go. Okay, I couldn't go to Ringling. Okay, there was Manatee Community College. I couldn't go there.
Why couldn't you go to Ringling and Manatee?
The color of my skin, of course. But thank God for Manatee County for providing a bus for those of us who really wanted to go to college. And they sent the bus over here to Sarasota to pick us up in front of Neil Humphrey's drugstore. And they would take us across that bridge 35 miles one way every day. They provided the driver for that bus. And I worked after school at Morrison's cafeteria, serving coffee, etc. But that's what we had to do, 70 miles a day, if that's what you really wanted. Mm-hmm. The fortune for me was that...
That was the Black Junior College.
Yes, Gibbs. St. Petersburg was still there. But the fortune for me was that my mother had bought an endowment policy, and I was able to go to those 2 years of college.
I would be remiss if I didn't say this, Dr. James. I just so much appreciate and I get a little misty right now. I really do. I appreciate the work that you've done. Mary, Fred Atkins, and all the pioneers that I researched. You all hid our faces from so much ugliness. We didn't see it, and we didn't understand the nature of the fight that you all were in because you hid our faces. And we didn't even understand the battle, but you fought for us. And I can tell you this, that this story has been transformative. And with all my skills, with all my might, I intend to tell these stories. And when you were using your tissue before the show started, I was thinking I might have to use that tissue. Can I use that tissue?
I'm going, well, I would give it to you, but I have a little cold and I don't want to give you anything
Okay,
else.
well, I'm just going to.
I was going to ask if Mrs. Chris, the female, was still close. We have a Chris, male and female who are part of this show. If they would bring you a tissue, or if Mimi would go out and get you a tissue, and Mimi, you just walk right around here, and that way, and Fred, you need to start talking so we get the
when
It's live.
when Vicki sent in a proposal, all of us in the community heard about that. Vicki had also put in a proposal, and so it was like, whoa! There's no way that it can, because of her history in developing, finding Angola project and following the Africans and the Indians through the state of Florida all the way to the Bahamas. That we were so glad that she was the person that had proposed a remedy for our situation, and then to be awarded it. I mean, and then all of the experts that her and Asala brought to this energy was amazing, that the community bought into it, because that's kind of difficult to get a community to relinquish some of their items of artifacts. And so we were so glad that we had somebody we could trust and move forward with this project in an amazing way. And so we empathize, and we love you for taking on this challenge, because we know it's been a challenge.
It was exciting, because I love history. It was really exciting. I had started my adventure 45 years ago, checking on my family. And like I said, thanks to you, I was able to go through the Chitsey without any problem. But I also understand that your family came from Madison, Florida, as well as mine.
Absolutely.
And that's where my papa is, and when I get a chance, I'm going to spend a week up there, find out what the connection is.
When you talk about the Chitsey, some folk don't know what you're talking about.
It's a library.
Before we had a unified library system in this community, the city of Sarasota had a library. But that's another story for another day. But we couldn't attend the library initially. And one summer, home from A&M, I decided it was time. And so I did what young folk who either have no fear, or those who are too dumb to know that they should be fearful did.
Right.
I went down, and from that, we integrated the library. Now let's talk about the signage.
There's one on organizations. There's one on military service. There is, I mentioned education. Help me, Fred. Oh, churches.
Yeah.
Churches. The architecture of buildings that were constructed in Newtown, and also church architecture.
Athletics.
Yes. Athletics. And there are 15
15 different signs.
markers with 15 different themes on them.
And somewhere, I believe, you must have something on the right bush.
Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Yes, there is a sign that's going to be in front of the Wright Bush House, signifying the accomplishments of Wright and Sarah Bush. Their names are on that county marker that was removed for the construction project at Overtown, along with John Mays and Leonard Reed.
Right.
And it's very important, did it get back yet?
The marker? No, I'm told that it is in a safe storage area.
We've been told a lot of things. Okay, community.
You've heard it before now.
Yeah. So, there is a historical marker
Yes,
in Overtown
yes.
that has been moved. And they've been told that it will be going back. It's been a long time, and it's not back yet. So when you are called upon to, I have problems with this because young people say, that was old stuff that y'all did. When you're called upon to march or to go to and fill a commission chamber and say, where is our sign with our history? Show up. And we used to say, you show up and you show out. And folk understand that, but that's another story.
That's true.
For this generation who says we're in post-racial times, you know, have such a problem, they've got to go back and look at this history, because we're seeing some of the same things turn back. And that's why it's important that we learn from you how you did this, how you effected change in our community. So, you know, I'm studying the stories.
But if you don't acknowledge your history, you're bound to repeat it. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
No doubt. But this is for the young folks in our community. You know, here we are in the processing out process. And so we are leaving a legacy for persons that are coming through to experience some of the change that has taken place, and to take that and catapult us further into the future more positively. But they need to realize first that their change needs to take place.
Absolutely.
Now, throughout this program, we have about 3 minutes left. You've seen these signs. And some of them, because there is so much information and it's on your TV screen, you couldn't see all of it as well. The gestures, didn't get the gestures they deserve. So, again, you need to come where?
To the Robert L. Taylor Community Complex on John Rivers Street, February the 18th at 10:30. We're going to have a celebration of Newtown and Overtown's history, and meet the history makers, those that are sitting around this table, as well as others that will be there whose pictures or family pictures are depicted on those markers.
Mr. Mayor, make your final pitch in any direction you want to go.
I am just so excited. I am so pleased. I'm so glad that I have put my hands on the markers. I know that they are in town and they will be there at the Robert L. Taylor Complex on Saturday the 18th. And we want people to come and experience it. And as we get ready to install them in the next few weeks, we want people to basically appreciate it and then go forward and enhance the opportunities in the history of the African American community in Sarasota City.
Mrs. Mack, you got 45 seconds. The ladies always get more. And then, Vicki, you're going to have the last 2 minutes.
I would love it if the community would come out and participate. You have no idea of the work that is taken to get us where we are now. The community, the entire community needs to come out and participate in this activity on the 18th.
We'll also be launching a Newtown Alive website, and it's important that people understand why the website. We went to St. Petersburg to see what the city of St. Petersburg did for that African American community, how the community changed when those markers went in and that website went up. And I also went to city of Fort Pierce because they have historic markers. It dramatically changed the community. Economic stimulation came back into the community because there was a pride that happened and businesses started to spring up again around that heritage tourism piece.
Yes.
So this is an African American heritage trail,
yes,
and we're hoping that buses will come in and read these markers, busloads of visitors and tourists. When they visit Sarasota, they visit Newtown to see how this community settled.
You know, it's important too, because everybody thinks it just happened, whatever it has happened. But Sarasota is the only community that maintained its historically black school. We had to fight because they closed it for a minute. But because there are people who were willing to fight, it was opened back up. And now Booker High School looks like a fine junior college someplace.
Yes.
It does.
The other towns was Jones High in Orlando. It kept its historical black school name and location completely through. In Tampa, Milton lost completely out. So we've been ahead of a lot of things.
Oh my gosh.
A lot of things as a community. And we can continue if we have community.
Yes.
Anything less than community is nothing.
Not going to work.
I'd like to thank you all for coming and remind our folk, sometime when you hear the right thing, do the right thing. And as always, have a great day, Suncoast.
Thanks to my volunteer, I am a better reader.
Thanks to my volunteer, math seems simple now.
Thanks to my volunteer, I discovered new career goals.
I'm a volunteer for Sarasota County Schools, so I know I can make a difference. And you can too. Give an hour, change a life.